What's going on, guys? Fun with Knives back again. Huh. I wonder what's inside of this little pouch here. No, I'm just kidding. I cannot bring myself to do a true unboxing. I just can't do it. I have to spend a little bit of time with the knife first, and that's mainly because I get too excited and then I can't possibly enunciate words. I don't know what my deal is, but that doesn't make for very informational or even watchable video. So after 30 seconds of intro, let's hop right into this guest knife overview. Inside of this pouch contains a VDK knife. If VDK is an acronym does not sound familiar to you, where have you been? No, I'm just kidding. VDK stands for Vlad Domazerov Knives. If you guys have seen any videos on the War Admiral or the Pioneer of the Nile, those are his designs. This is the Pharaoh, his third design. Now, I've had my hands on his first two. I own the War Admiral, and the Pioneer of the Nile is just, it's a badass name for a badass knife. I really enjoyed that one. So when this third design came out, I think the first place I saw it was Instagram. I was like, oh, that's a cool looking blade. Very different, of course. I mean, we expect unique designs from Vlad nowadays because that's kind of all he does. But then I saw the size and I was like, I'm not digging it. I'm just not too into the smaller size knives. And that's not because I don't think they're useful. I just tend to gravitate towards the same size of knife, and it's this size. I mean, look how different these are in size. It's just, this towers over the other one. So I was like, maybe I can pass up on seeing that one. And Vlad actually reached out to me and wanted me to take a look at this one. So I could never say no to that. And I got it in hand today. Got delivered earlier today, and holy crap, my hand actually fits inside of it. It's one of those things. I hate three-fingering knives. It feels awkward. But somehow, in this length of handle, I'm able to get my whole hand on it. So I'm really enjoying this size. So let me give you the specs real quick, and then we'll hop into this kind of from tip to end overview. We got a 3-inch blade here. Get a little bit of a close-up of that. Got a 3.5-inch length handle, making your overall length 6.5 inches. The blade thickness on this one is stocky. It's 0.16 inches. Handle thickness is not listed, as is the weight, but handle thickness, I'm going to go ahead and guess 0.55 inches, something around there. I think it's a little bit thicker than half an inch, which is actually a blessing in disguise because of how this thing feels in hand. And weight, with titanium, carbon fiber, stocky little blade, I'll guess 3.2 ounces. I'm going to have to look it up after the video, but maybe I'll spot on. I don't know, something around there, something around 3 ounces, maybe high 2 ounces. Anyways, materials used, CPM S35 VN blade steel, titanium handles, it's a titanium bolster lock with carbon fiber bolsters, and I don't know if that's like a rear bolster or what to call these carbon fiber inlays, but it definitely matches really well. Now, when I saw this, I think this is the basic configuration, if you will. All of Vlad's designs seem to be very customizable as they get new colors, new blade finishes, different steels. I mean, the sky's really the limit with these kind of things, but I think this is kind of your standard version. It's the same kind of coloration as the Pioneer of the Nile, kind of the successor, not the successor, the big brother to this Pharaoh here. It too has a titanium carbon fiber bolster lock. It has the same steel. I believe that Pioneer of the Nile did have a stone wash on it, but really this just kind of looks like its Persian baby brother. But then I dug a little bit deeper, and this is kind of its own animal. So let's of course start with the blade here. That is that very upswept Persian style blade. And it just looks wicked. It's so cool. I mean, I don't think I've had any knives to date with this kind of blade style. And I don't know why that is, because this definitely looks the part. Now, I can't speak to how it functions, but I can tell you it came incredibly sharp. This does feel like kind of a saber grind. So you can have a flat grind there, kind of cool swedge where that light's hitting, see that big white area. Then your flats are satin. Your grinds are also satin, but they're a very glossy satin. It's almost, I mean, it's halfway, wow, it's a bad deployment on my part, halfway between a mirror and a satin. So I think the blade looks awesome. As far as functionality or sharpening, it might pose a challenge because there's so much belly here. Who knows? The tip here, fairly pointy. I mean, it's still strong. This is a beefy blade, so this is not going to be your ultimate slicer, but as far as looks go, very cool, very unique. I don't think there's a whole lot of Persian style blades out there on the market, either from production companies or kind of mid-techs like this one. So I saw the blade, I liked it a lot. The grind seems okay. I mean, I would have preferred a higher flat grind, but we always say that. We always want the sliciest knife possible that is somehow incredibly strong, which you just can't seem to have both. The knife world is all about compromises. Let's talk about deployment. Now, I don't know what my deal was, but I was like, oh, that's a cool looking flipper. We got some jimping on there. Flips very nice. I'm assuming ceramic ball bearings and then a ceramic ball detent. Incredibly smooth. And it's got this very unique sound. And it's almost like it's just the 80% of the sound of a larger size knife. And really, that's exactly what it is. It's just nice and soft. It's still got a very positive, you know, click once it locks open, once that detent engages and it's closed. But it's just soft. Super smooth. The lockup's incredibly solid. But I love the thumb studs on this. I just don't know what my deal was. I think I kind of ignored them as blade stops or something when I first saw the knife, but really they're a very viable opening method. In fact, that brings me way more enjoyment than the flipper on this one. In fact, I'd go as far to say I'd prefer a flipperless Pharaoh. That just rolls off the tongue. Flipperless Pharaoh. Maybe it doesn't as I mumble it. But it just worked. In fact, you can kind of spider flick it with that back thumb stud too. It's not super easy, but that thumb stud is just placed perfectly. You can really rocket it out of there. You can see here, super smooth on the closing. Closes right up. Now, with this being such an upswept blade, you kind of have to have a handle that's curved along with it. Now, that's what I was worried about, really. When I saw this design, I don't mind a shorter blade, really. I mind the shorter handles where I'm 3-fingering it. It's uncomfortable. You know, the finger grooves just aren't built for my size. And this just works. I can't tell you how Vlad pulled this off. He must be a wizard, but in 3.5 inches, I can get all 4 of my fingers on this knife. I don't know how, but there's your 2 large finger choils here. Kind of fit nice, just like the Pioneer of the Nile, just like the War Admiral. I think that's kind of Vlad's signature thing thus far in his designs is these prominent finger choils for your first 2 fingers. They just nestle so well into those. And then you have this scoop here and this large hook, and that kind of encases that upswept point and the lanyard loop, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But it just fills your hand nicely. Now, I don't think the ergonomics are superb, but for this small of a knife, I haven't had ergonomics this good. So that's awesome. The jimping on the back is decent. It'll give you a little bit of traction, let you know it's there. But honestly, if I was going to use this knife extensively, I'd be either using a pinch grip, because you can utilize that belly really well if you're cutting open boxes, doing draw cuts or things like that. Or I'd be placing my thumb up way up here in this scoop, and that just feels really nice for your basic kind of scoring cuts too, or you name it. But your lock up here is a titanium bolster lock. It's basically a frame lock with a carbon fiber bolster covering it. Lockup is pretty damn early, but it's so solid. I mean, I don't have any fear of that closing or anything on me. You do have a steel lock bar insert, and of course this lock bar can't over travel because there's a big piece of carbon fiber that is blocking it. Speaking of carbon fiber, this is very cool. It's got that multi-textured look to it. I don't really see any pitting or anything of those lesser quality carbon fibers out there in the world. But then again, I am no carbon fiber expert, but I do like the look of this one. Now, just like the Pioneer of the Nile, this thing is completely 3D contoured. You can see that the titanium and the bolsters are perfectly in line. There's no gap there really at all. Can't even feel it with the nail. And the whole thing's just kind of domed off and rounded. And that is what gives you some of the thickness. And it feels so good in hand for a smaller knife. When I grabbed this knife, I was like, holy crap, it actually fits my hand and it feels capable for a smaller knife, which is not always the case once you get in the 3 inches or sub 3 inches in blade. Blade thickness here, we said 0.16, pretty stocky, and the blade centering is perfect. Now, there is kind of a fit and finish, I wouldn't call it issue, but something to note here. You can see that the edge bevel is not directly symmetrical at the tip, even though the sharpness is definitely there. You can see that's slightly off. Just something to note. course, want to give you guys some sort of an objective overview here. But fit and finish, other than that, seemed just about perfect. I only noticed one other thing, and that was this tiny corner here. Whoa. Seems like there's just a tiny bit of titanium exposed by that carbon fiber inlay, but nothing that's going to bother me too bad. It's not like it's sharp or anything. You have a almost entirely open construction here with a titanium backspacer that has been kind of knurled. It's got some texture. It's kind of like jimping. I suppose that'll give you a little bit of traction in hand, but I think it just looks cool. But you see open design, and honestly I was worried about that cutting edge being too close to the bottom, or to the back of the handle, and I tried the pinky test, and I tried to get in there and actually see if that would cut my pinky or anything, and I can't quite touch it. It's insane. It's very close, but I don't think it should pose a problem. Now, flipping geometry, not bad. It flips, wow, if I'm not going to press down a lock bar super hard, it flips pretty good. Again, I like the thumb studs better. I just do. I think this would do better as a flipperless knife. That's my personal thing with this. That's really the only change I would make, because the clip on this thing is phenomenal. It's sized right in proportion with the knife. It's adequately deep carry. I think it looks cool. It's shaped. It's kind of angular. It's tall enough to accommodate a wide variety of materials. It's got good spring tension. It's nice and stiff. But really, it comes down to this Persian style blade of why this thing sits so well in your pocket. Now, man, I wish I had some fabric. I really need to keep some around here. Let's say this was the rim of your pocket. If you're going to put this in here and nestle it to the back, that looks kind of normal. Put it around, you can see here that this is completely, this again is the seam of your pocket, it's completely out of the way. It just moves the entire knife, which is relatively small, out of the way in your pocket. Meaning that this thing, I threw it in the pocket and it just completely disappears. It's awesome. That design just moves it out of your way. So if you're like me, I carry my phone in my knife pocket as well. Just completely goes around it. It's awesome. So, forgot one thing here. Your little lanyard loop, expertly hidden in the tip of this handle. Very cool. If you guys like your lanyards, throw it through there. If you guys don't like your lanyards, it's completely unobtrusive within the design. So really, what are my favorite features about this knife? Well, the really useful thumb studs, the uniqueness of this design, obviously. The size is actually quite nice. Again, I love the finish on this titanium, just like the Pioneer, the Nile. It's got that soft kind of, I don't know, again, it's 3D contoured, so it's just a really cool feeling. It's kind of blasted. Really like it. The carbon fiber seems nice. I like this knife a lot. In fact, it's going to be hard for me to send it back to Vlad, because it's a great step for him as a designer. I think I'm definitely not in the world of mid-techs and customs that much. I would, love to be more than I am. But I think it's something different. It's something unique, and it's completely VDK. I guess that's the best I can say about that. Now, these things are still kind of coming out, so they're kind of hard to find at the moment. I think the asking price is going to be right at $299. So again, just like any of the more expensive knives out there in the world, I can't tell you if it's worth it for you or not. I can tell you that the quality's there. The materials used are great. The finishing is awesome. I mean, it's going to be just what you expect for the price point, I think, but I think you're going to excel in a couple of areas, and that is, it's different. It's so different. It's not the basic flipper titanium frame lock that you've seen everywhere else. As soon as you see a Pharaoh, you know it's a Pharaoh. And what a cool name, by the way. Pioneer, the Nile, and Pharaoh, they just kind of match. It's kind of like a northern African theme or something with these knives. That's very cool. So thanks again, Vlad, for letting me take a look at that one. Sorry for the longer video, guys. I always tell you that these awesome knives take more time to talk about because there's just so much to go over, as with, maybe a $20 knife, not as much. So thanks for watching through to this one, through to the end, that is. I always appreciate you guys watching. I'm failing to enunciate my words again, so we're going to end this video here. Thanks for watching, and remember, have fun with your knives.